Welcome to our Amud Yomi shiur, and we are in Psachim Kuf Ches Amud Beis. We're learning the sugyas of Leila Seder, different topics to do with Leila Seder, the Aseva, Dalit Koises, and more. And all this is in Psachim Kuf Ches Amud Beis. It's a Gemara shiur, but in this Gemara shiur we explore more and more about the halachas of Leila Seder, the upcoming Leila Seder. And welcome to everybody here in Avas Shalom. Thank you to everybody who watches us on YouTube and on, of course, Torah Anytime. Welcome, welcome. We are here in Stochim, Kufches Amud Beis, top of the page. Omer Bia, let's go. I just want to tell everybody this year is Lilu Nishmas Tovi Mori Menachem and Akiva. Usvas Shalom Sorbas Moshe, and Eresh Bas Elchanan Yitzchok, Lerefuas Aviva Bas Devoiro. Okay, let's go. Good morning to everybody on the phone. That's Baruch. Omar Biuda, Omar Shmuel. Yeah, we saw this yesterday, but we're reviewing today because this Amud is all one big topic. Omar Biuda, Omar Shmuel. Rabbi Yehuda says on behalf of Shmuel, Arbal koisos halolu. These four koises, these four cups, why do we drink them? We already saw that there are three different points in drinking Leila Seder. There are three messages, three ideas. First of all, we remember the four Lashonos of Geula. It's a mitzvah to be mefar semanes, right? We said it's one of the three mitzvahs of Pir Semanes is Dalut Koises. We let everybody know that we were freed from Mitzrayim, and we thank Hashem for four different aspects of Geula. We have a point of acting like a ben choirin, as we're going to see. There's Dalit Koises and there's the Cherus, the freedom within the Dalit Koises. We're going to see enough Kamina soon. And we also have the mitzvah of drinking wine on Yom Tov. Drinking wine on Yom Tov is a mitzvah, so we are mekayim it through the Dalit Koises. So we have quite a few ideas while we drink the Dalit Koises. Bear them all in mind. Let's see what the Gemara says about that. Omar B'Yedar Mashmuel. Arbal Koises Alalu. These four cups. One has to have kedei mizigas kois yofa, which means a kois in halacha usually means a cup that contains how much? A revis. Let's say something like that. A revis. Why is a revis called a revis, by the way? It's a quarter of a log. Log is much more, yeah? A quarter of a log, which is, let's say, about this disposable cup. Yeah, don't use this for Leila Seder, yeah? So now a quarter of that, meaning a quarter of that revis, if that is wine, and the three other quarters are water, and the 1/4 is concentrated wine, that's the right ratio, that's the right amount to dilute. To dilute is limzog. You dilute a little bit of strong wine, a quarter of a strong wine, with what? 3/4 of water. Not today's wine. Today's wine we don't have to dilute because it's already diluted. Yeah, already in the Halacha it says that. In the times of the Gemara, yain chai, which basically means raw wine, which is absolutely too strong to drink, you have to dilute it with 3 times over of water, and that's what you drink. The truth is, Gemara at this point doesn't understand that that's what it says. I'm just telling you now the maskana. But that's a shiur. You have to revis in each. That's halacha, by the way. Each course has to contain revis. Now, shton chai. Let's say you drank the wine chai, which means raw, which means non-diluted, undiluted wine. Yotza, your yotza, but the evid yotza, it's not ideal because the wine that you drink should be nice and tasty and well balanced. But if you didn't, your yotza, even if you drink it when it's chai. Second point, shton bevas achas yotza. What shton bevas achas usomach loikes? Shton bevas achas, according to Rashbam in Tosfos, means bevas achas. Let's start with Rashi. Not Rashbam in Tosfos. Let's go the right way. Rashi says shton bevas achas means and you took the 4 cups, 1, 2, 3, 4, into one big cup, and you drank it all in one go. From one big cup, we drank it in one go. This is what we thought Rashi means. And your yoitze. Rashbam in Tosfos say, how can you say your yoitze? You didn't drink 4 cups. It's 1 cup. It's not 4. Where are the 4? Where are the 4 Lashonos of Geula? What's going on here? Therefore, the Rashbam in Tosfos want to say that bevas achas means in one go. 1, 2, the whole thing, 3, the whole thing, 4, the whole thing, but in one go and not by the order of the Seder. And then, according to Shmuel, your yoitze, which is also surprising because it's important for the Dalit Kosos to be in the right order. This we're going to revisit this later on. But this is the machlokes how do you interpret bevas achas in one go? Is it one cup or is it all four in one time? Yeah, one right after the other. Now, next piece. Then yotzo hishkamen lebonov lebnei beiso yotzo. You gave, yeah, from the Dalit Koises, you shared it with your family. Then again, you are yotze. Yeah, you gave it to the bnei bais, to the people, wife, children, mishorsim, whoever. You yotze, even if you share the wine, which obviously brings us the question: did each and every person have enough? Erevis, right? Very good. That will be discussed. That's it. So far, so good. That is what Rabbi Yehuda b'Shem Shmuel said. Okay. Now we're going to elaborate and qualify and possibly argue on what Shmuel said. Shmuel is very lenient. He says yoitze, yoitze, yoitze on all accounts. Yeah, all different four things we spoke about. Shmuel is lenient, but now we're going to see another opinion. Omar Rove. Rove says, Shton Chai, excuse me, let's start here. Shton Chai. We're in the fifth line from the top of the page, Kuf Chesamud base. Shton Chai Yotza. The person drank the wine. How did he drink it? Raw, meaning undiluted and way too strong for normal human beings to tolerate and take and like. Omarava, Yediyain Yotza. Yedecherus lo Yotza. This is very interesting. It's considered that you yotze the wine, the Dalit Koises. Your yotze Dalit Koises, that because the wine you drank was, excuse my rude language, disgusting. The wine disgusting to a point that most human beings just don't like such strong wine, way too strong and concentrated in an abnormal way. You're not yotze the cherus. You did not fulfill the mitzvah of behaving like a ben choirin through the Dalit Koises, and that's what the Rambam also paskins and says the Rashi here, which means it's not mitzvah shlema. You did not fulfill the mitzvah to its full. It's a mitzvah of Dalit Koises, but you did not actually fulfill it properly. Why? Because you don't really feel like a ben choyrin when the wine is absolutely boring. Yeah, that's pshat. Now, shton bevas achas. Oh, let's say you drank all 4 cups in one go, whatever that means. We're going to see again. But you drank either. What does bevas achas mean? Either you drank them all from one big cup, or you drank all 4. You refilled 1, 2, 3, 4, but at one point of the Seder. You did not let it, spread out through the Seder. Then again, there's a huge. That's actually not qualifying. That's a machloikis now. Rav argues in Shmuel. That's what I saw in the Meforshim. Rav Omar Yediyain Yotza, Yedarbo Koises Lo Yotza. Wow. When you drink all 4 cups in one go, your yotze what? Not Dalit Koises. No. Your yotze the wine. What is the yotze the wine? Your yotze the Simchas Chag. We'll see in the next page, if we get there today, that the Yom Tov has a mitzvah to drink wine, and this is how we celebrate the Simchas Yom Tov. By what? By drinking wine. If you drink all in one go, bevakasha, as long as you don't get drunk. And this is not a joke. Actually, it says in halacha that not to drink between the first and the second cup, even though Me'ikar Din it could be okay, can become drunk. Yeah, before the meal ever started, right? So then don't do that. So now, if you drink and you're okay with drinking 4 cups and you're happy enjoying yourself, you're Mekayim mitzvah of what? Drinking Yom Tov. But the Dalit Koises, you're not Yotze at all. You're not Yotze mitzvah Dalit Koises if you don't have each cup nice, separate, and far apart from each other, each one accompanying another part of the Seder, which is the whole idea of the Dalit Koises, is to show us where we are in the process of the Geula, as we said previously. 1 second. Now, I want to say 2 important things. The question that the Rashbam and Tosfos asked on Rashi, they said, what? You have a havamina to say that if I took all 4 and poured them into one big cup and drank the whole thing in one go, but like a shiur in the bar, then what? You really think that anybody with his right mind would say, I'm Yotze Dalit Koises? It's not Dalit Koises. It's one big thing, yeah? We saw yesterday, and I'll repeat it again, beautiful Prima Godim in Eshel Avram. Prima Godim, the portion of Shulchan Aruch says, that's not what Rashi meant. Rashi said one big cup, but it didn't say you have it in one go. You take from that one big cup and you drink every time in the appropriate time. So you have it spread out. You took the big cup, you had your very well Yekishe calculated guy. Maybe that cup has, 4 marks, a quarter Kaddish, the second quarter of the same big cup at the end of the Agoda, right? The third quarter of the big cup, Birkas Hamazon, and the fourth and half. Oh, that's a Havamina. Maybe that's okay, right? Because Lamaisa, I'm following the order very nicely. Excuse the pun, I follow the order. Yeah. On the other hand, I don't have 4 cups. I didn't refill. Oh, that's a question already. Here, Shmuel says it's okay, and Rav said it's not okay. Even though you follow the right order, but Lemaisa, you don't have 4 refills of a new cup, Kivyachol, then you're not Yoitza, says Rav. La Alocha, don't try it at home. Yeah, let's do it the right way. You should have each cup the right time, the right Seder, without any, without playing any games. Not halacha shiur, as I say, but that's surely what we have to do. Now, okay. 1 second. What did I want to say? Before I answer your question, Tosfos asks the question: Why was there a havamina to say that I'm not yoitz at the mitzvahs Yom Tov? Because what did Rav say? You drank all in one go, ba 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 ba, goodbye. You're not yetz at dalit koises, that's for sure. But why would have I thought you're not yoitz at the simchas Yom Tov, right? Why is that a chiddush? Says Tosfos that there was a havamina to say, yeah, oil v'tiknu dalit koises. I would have said maybe the simchas chag depends on dalit koises. When it's, let's say, Sukkot or Shavuos, drinking wine, I'll drink whichever wine I want, whichever way I want. But since in Leila Seder they were metaken, they established that the wine should be drank in a specific way, maybe if I don't keep the Dalit Koises, I'm not become the Simchas Chag either. Maybe they're codependent. Kamash Malan that they're not. You're not become Dalit Koises, it's separate. But the Yain, the Simcha of the wine, the joy of the wine, you're still Mekayim. It's 2 separate cheshboin, it's 2 separate things. That's the Chidush. Yeah, thank you for your patience. I want to hear your question. Yeah, question break. Now, yeah. Oh, so you're asking a good question. I drank the first wine. What did I do? The first cup. I was Mekayim Kiddush. I'm Mekayim Simchas Yom Tov because there is wine here. Yeah. But I wasn't yet Mekayim Dalit Koises until I have the other 3 with the right order. That's it. Once I have 1, 2, 3 more, then I'll have the full mitzvah Dalit Koises. Yes, fabulous. Great. Now let's continue. Hishka mehen lebonov lebnei beisa yotzo. The person gave his wife and children, yeah, from his cup of wine, his yotze. So in the Havamina, we thought, what? Maybe even if I share it with them, and none of us had roiv kois, none of us had even revis, we're yotze. That's not the halacha. So the Gemara quickly says, Omer of Nachman bar Yitzchak, it has to be such a reality that you, the Baal Habais, you drink roiv kois. In other words, what's roiv kois? That's not so simple because usually roiv revi'is, yeah, the assumption again of the Gemara was your minimal kois is a revis, and roiv kois means roiv revis. The majority of a revis, you had roiv 60 or 55%, or I think they say more roiv godol. It has to be of what of the revis, and that's good enough. However, there is an opinion in halacha, which I think we all know, that if you have a bigger cup, bigger than revis, there is the mitzvah to drink roiv kois, meaning even if it's more than revis. As far as I know, it's the only place in halacha when we find it. It's not in kiddush, not in avdallah. If you have a big kiddush cup and you drank meloy lugmov, that's enough. Yeah, I think meloy lugmov is roiv revis. Yeah, enough to fill your cheeks. Yeah, yeah, your cheeks. Yeah, like this, one side, right? Very nice. Mashain can hear, but the Seder, we see the importance of the kois. The cup itself has importance because to show the joy, and therefore roiv kois may actually mean the majority of the kois. That's why it says in halacha, don't take a cup that's too big, you don't get shikur. If a cup is really big, you may need the majority of that. Now, Tosfos says, and it says in halacha, there's a hiddur to drink the entire kois. It's better to drink the entire kois and quite quickly. Yeah, roiv kois is ruba kichuloi, but here it's preferable to do the entire thing. What about the sharp abais? We know the minhag is, in order to avoid issues with that, each one should have his own cup in front of him. And that's a preferable thing to have roiv kois. So although you could have, again, let me just explain what the Gemara says over here. What Shmuel says is not wrong. conceptually, you could share it with the wife and children. And let's say you have what? The kois. Inat machmi roiv kois. You have a kois that contains 3 revios. There's you, your wife, and your daughter at the table. Only you. Yeah, nobody invited you for Leila Seder, okay? So then if you have 3 revios, or yeah, then great. I have Rov Revis, my wife Rov Revis, and my daughter Rov Revis. Good, that's fine. It's shaykh. Yeah. At the end of the day, we're not mekan the chumrah of Rov Kois. The Rov Revis we had. Yeah, the chumrah is the better things to have Rov Kois. You and I cannot share Rov Kois. Either I have the 60% or you have the 60%. That's why the meaning today is that each person has his own kois and he drinks his own Rov Kois. Because if you share, you may be able to do Rov Revis and have a lot of reveals. Can't have Rov Kois. That's why, preferably, as the minhag is, each one has his own kois. Okay? Now, no, I'm talking about each cup separately. Each one has kois and then refill, as we all know. What do you mean? Yeah. Now, okay. Mesivi, sorry. A question. Now comes a question regarding the amount. Regarding the amount of wine. Mesivi, Dalid koises alolu. These 4 cups, they have to have kedei revis. They have to have kedei revis. Now, I want to just explain to you. The word revis is very tricky. We all know about revis for kiddush, for abdol, for bar nefoshes, revis. But revis may mean one of 2 things, and that's what the Gemara here is getting into trouble. Revis may mean what we call revis, which is that whatever that amount is more or less revis for the Chazon Ish even, or revis, which is revis of a big loig, a quarter of a loig, which is what we call revis today, or revis means a quarter of that. Remember what I told you? A quarter of a revis should be very strong wine, diluted by 3/4 of water, right? So the question is, what does revis mean? So the Gemara is now reading the Brisa, so to speak, misunderstanding the word revis. And the Gemara, let's see as follows. Tzor sheben kedei revis. You have to have a revis of wine, echad chai ve'echad mozug, whether it is raw or mozug diluted, echad chodesh ve'echad yoshon, either if it's new or old, the wine, it's all good. In other words, any kind of wine, even if the wine is not nice, the wine is it's very new or very old. Sometimes old wine is too old, although old wine is good, but sometimes wine, when it's too old, gets already, that's too much already. What? Becomes vinegar, right? That's for sure possible. Yeah, that's the nekama. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, sarich sheba tam umari yain. As the Gemara will elaborate on later, says Rabbi Yehuda, no. You have to have the taste of good normal wine, and it has to look like wine. In other words, something that is too new or too old and is such low quality may not qualify for wine of Leila Seder. And we're going to discuss that later. Tani Mias, let's siphon one thing from this brisa. Let's get one thing from the brisa. It says kedei revis. Yeah, it says here kedei revis, right? Which is what? We thought means what? 1/4 of what? Of the quarter. In other words, this amount. Kedei revis is enough. This brisa seems to be very lenient. Bad wine, new wine, and also a little bit. Ve'ato amart kois yofo. And you, Shmuel, you told me a kois yofo, a good kois, which means what? This. So what are you talking about? It's a stira. Answers the Gemara, Amri, no. Idi v'dichan shiurahu. You misunderstood. Both the Bryce and Shmuel, they mean the same. My kedei mizigas kois yofo de kaomar lekol chad v'chad. The kois yofo, mezigas kois yofo, doesn't mean to say just a quarter and you drink the quarter of the raw wine. Mezigas kois yofo means if you take one revis, 4/4, and you spill each one in a separate cup of wine as a concentrated, but then you dilute it with 3/4 of water, that's what we meant. It's all the same. Everyone agrees on one shiur, yeah? At the end of the day, it's a revis, which means when we said revis, both Shmuel and the Brisa meant the same thing. A revis of strong wine, 1/4 of this, and then 1, 2, 3 water on top of that makes us kois yofo, a good cup of what we call revis of the loig. Lamaisi, it's all the same. Both Shmuel and the Brisa meant the same. They meant you should have, if you have raw, strong, super strong wine, we don't have that today as far as I know from the halacha, what says the halacha, you have to add 1/4 of a cup of the strong raw one, and then add 3/4 of wine, and you're good to go. Less than that, which means if it's more diluted, that's a problem. And the Rambam alludes to the fact that it has to be not too weak, and that's always an issue. By Kiddush also. When in today's industry, why do they write in Carmel Mizrahi and other wineries, they write kosher lekiddush v'avdola? It's kosher b'dat, it's kosher Rav Rubin, of course it's kosher. No. You can have kosher wine, but it's too diluted, it's not kosher for kiddush and avdola, and for sure not dalit koises. So you have to make sure the wine you have in Leila Seder, and I'll say for the 1500th time, it's not a halacha shiur, but you have to know that the wine is not too diluted. Somebody doesn't like wine, he takes the wine which is already just about right, and adds water to the wine, it may be a halachic issue. I'm not a poisik. You should know that if it's too diluted, that's bad. Your wife doesn't like wine. Your child can't take wine. Take grape juice. Grape juice is not so mahudar. Take grape juice. But to dilute the wine is an issue because you may go overboard and you'll have instead of 1/3, you may have 1/4. That's too weak. So just bear that in mind that this is the source for this not chumrah, for this halacha. Not to dilute your wine and play with adding water. It's not simple. I know the Sfadi meant 3 drops of water. That's very nice. Don't go overboard, okay? 1 second. Yes, I can hear questions now. Okay. Oh, Rabbi Yehuda Omer. Now we continue with Rabbi Yehuda. It has to have the taste of wine and the looks of wine. In other words, don't be so, in the box cold and say, this is wine. Doesn't look like wine, doesn't taste like wine, but it's wine, something made from grapes. No person with his right mind would relate to that, horrific thing as wine. No. Says Rabbi Yehuda, it has to taste good and look good. My time with the Rabbi Yehuda. What's the source of Rabbi Yehuda that says the wine has to, we're talking now about the looks. You'd be surprised to know that the looks of the wine has to look red and not white. Ooh, we're coming to the whole issue here. Dichtiv, we're going to elaborate here. Al tera yain kis adam. The Novi, not the Novi, the Shlomo Melech in Mishlei speaks against alcoholism, speaks against drinking. Yeah, and he says, don't look at the wine. He's talking to the alcoholic to be the young yeshiva bacher at the Kiddush club, and he says, don't look at the wine because it's red. Yeah. The pasuk continues. You put your eye in the glass. The Gemara explains in Yuma Daf Ayin Hey, all the averis in the world look like yosher to you, which means Shlomo Melech says as follows: don't look at the wine because the wine is red. Don't be attracted and tempted by the redness of the wine, because if you end up drinking wine, then you'll become an alcoholic. You get shiur. And then all the averis in the world will be, at your doorstep. You feel free to do whatever you want. What does that pasuk have to do with our suga? Excuse me. The explanation is as follows: when we say to that young boy or the older man, don't look at the redness of the wine, don't be attracted to the redness of the wine, because you'll end up in trouble. Is the redness of the wine good or bad? Think. Shlomo Melech says it's bad because it's attractive. But on the other end, we see that the redness of the wine is attractive. Yeah? Let's say somebody wants to convince a guy not so frum not to marry a goite, a non-Jewish woman. Yeah? So let's say, good looking, don't be attracted to her, but her looks are good. That's Yetzer Hara. Don't be attracted by her, v'chule, v'chule. That's the point. But when you do use it for mitzvah, the wine, then we know that the redness of the wine is a good thing for the wine. It's considered to be something attractive for the wine. And that's why it says in Halacha, I'm reading in case you don't believe me, says the Shulchan Aruch, mitzvah lachzor achar yain odoin. It's a mitzvah to look for davka red wine. And he says, im en aloven meshubach mimeno. If you have red and white, and the white one is significantly better, it's better. Maybe even if you like it better, that's a question, because you have to like the wine if you like ben choyrin. That's ask your rabbi. But lemaise, if you have red and white and everything else is equal, go for the red, because the pasuk tells us that the redness of the wine is actually something that makes the wine look better, and halacha considers it as better. Second reason, says the Mishnah Brura, and this is something more to remember, I think, learning in the Gan, and that is what? To remind us of the blood, in Mitzrayim. Here, the Mishnah Brura says over here, because he used to shech the children of Bnei Israel. We thank Hashem that this stopped the horrible genocide of Paroi, shechting babies of Klal Yisrael and children of Klal Yisrael that red wine reminds us that Baruch Hashem, we're out of that. Look at the Mishnah Berurah. Says the Mishnah Berurah, the Mekoimish Shemitzuin lahagoyim alilo shkorim, blood libels. Ay, ay, ay. Of course. What do we Jews do in Leila Seder? Yeah, yeah. They think shecht a little Christian child, which you know very well who shechted him, not us, yeah? And put his blood in the matzahs or drink the wine in Leila Seder. All Jewish custom, according to Yimach Shimon. And therefore, in such cases, refrain from red wine. To avoid problems with the goyim, yeah, if you live in a place where there's blood libels, you'll be surprised. I've heard that in some places in the world they still believe in it. Yes, in today's advanced, egalitarian, pluralistic world, there are places, I've heard the goyim, maybe Eastern Europe and Arab countries, they believe the Jews really shech children and put their blood in the matzahs. If you live in such a place, go for the white. Go for the white wine, and you know the neighbor knocks on the door. He says, "No, this year didn't shecht any goyish child. You know, we changed the custom. Here's my white wine." So, but other than that, the red wine is the preferable one. Okay, okay. Question time. Lighter. Toner Rabbanon. Here comes, here come the little children, the young children. Where are they with the dalit koises? Toner Rabbanon. Hakon chayovin barbo koises alolu. All people, everybody is obligated to drink the dalit koises. Echad noshim, ve'echad noshim, ve'echad tinoikos. Men and women. Why women? Because they were part of the nace. Could be also integral, important part of the nace that drink the dalit koises, even though it's a zman groma. They're mechuyav. Yeah, I ran a survey yesterday. Some women lean, many women don't lean. So whatever the Seder, that's up to debate. Fine, do as you want. Your wife does whatever she wants. But they definitely drink the dalit koises. What about the children? Yes, children also are obligated to drink the dalit koises. Now, the Rashbam says, why is that? Because they too were freed. They too, nigalu. Look, the Rashbam says they also were in the Geula. Yeah, gamhem nigalu. Very interesting. So, though a child is not chayiv b'mitzvahs, this is not chinuch, by the way. I want you to understand, whenever we talk about children and mitzvahs, what do we say? Chinuch. A child has to, make brachas, dress properly, daven, do this and that. Chesed, why? Keep Shabbos, chinuch. Here, the Rashbam says, no, very interesting. The children themselves could be even under chinuch age. They have to drink because they were saved from Mitzrayim. Very interesting. We're going to explain that more later. Omer Rabbi Yehuda. Now Rabbi Yehuda is asking, Rabbi Yehuda is commenting, the chimato elis yesh l'tinokos b'yayin. What do the tinokos have to do with the wine? What do they gain by drinking wine? And the Rashbam explains, because they're not chayav mitzvahs. I'm sorry, forget about chinuch. Chinuch is darabon, it's a separate story. Since when do children are mekayim mitzvahs as a chiyuv, not chinuch? Child puts on tefillin, child makes a bracha only as chinuch, but that's a chiyuv. And the lashon echad anoshim noshim tinokos sounds like they're all the same. And now he's going to give his different answer. Now my question is, what really is that? What's behind the opinion of Tanakama that says that the children really have to drink dalit koises? Who cares? They were saved from Mitzrayim. They were redeemed from Mitzrayim. They're not mechuyev in mitzvahs. I think it means as follows. I didn't see it in the Mefarshim. I think the pshat is like this. The Leila Seder, as we said, especially the dalit koises, is what? Pirsum hanes. Pirsum hanes. The Leila Seder is, I don't want to say it's one big show, but it's one big how do you say it? Reenactment, yeah, right? Like reliving the Seder, reliving the freedom and the Exodus. Oh, one could say that even though the child doesn't have a specific commandment, thou shall do this and that, maybe the child has to drink as part of the show. Since the children were redeemed, right? Mimela, the children also have to act that way to show the cherus. It's my chiyuv as a father to make sure that the entire family behaves in a way of cherus, because we all left Mitzrayim. Even though it's not the child's chiyuv, but it's my chiyuv to get him engaged, and he should be part of the demonstration, part of the show, part of the reacting the Yetzias Mitzrayim. Like in many communities, the child goes with the thing on his back, right? We don't do that, yeah. So the thing is, maybe that's part of the show, part of the story, even though it's not a specific chiyuv on his head, on his. Kamash Malan says, Rabbi Yehuda, no, I don't think so. If they don't have a mitzvah, they don't have a mitzvah. So now continues Rabbi Yehuda, Ela, what do you do with the children on Leila Seder? How do you involve them in Leila Seder if not for drinking wine? Nechalkin lahen you give them, you divulge, you give them klayos vegois in the Erev Pesach. You give them klayos are basically roasted wheat. That was back then much healthier sweet, much healthier candy snack than what they have today. They would give them klayos vegois in nuts be Erev Pesach. On Erev Pesach, they would give them sweets kedeshelo yishnu veishalu, so they don't sleep Erev Yom Tov. They'll be awake and up at night, and they'll ask the questions. They should be alert, they should be awake and involved and ask the question, which means the children have to be involved. They got out of Mitzrayim, and the children are super, super key people in Tzias Mitzrayim. One of the most important mitzvahs d'oraisa is Bigadu to Labincha. Tell your child. You don't have children, grandchildren, or tell it to your 30 years old child, or if not, you say it to your wife, you say it to yourself. It says in the Halacha, but ideally, children at the table are important. But them drinking the wine, that's not how they participate, but just making the show. Their participation should be by being very alert and be encouraged to ask the questions. Oh, by the way, soon we're going to see the source. You asked yesterday, what's the source for stealing the afikomen? We're going to see the source soon in the Gemara. It's not the Pashut Pshat, but it's a source. Amar level Rabbi Akiva, they said about Rabbi Akiva, Shemechalek himself used to administrate kloyos vegoizin, all kinds of sweets, roasted and nuts. L'tinoikas be'erev Pesach kedesh lo yishnu v'yishalu. You'd give them erev Pesach so they don't fall asleep in the afternoon. They stay up at night and ask the questions. Tanya Reb Lezer Oimer. Oh, here comes the afikomen business. Reb Lezer says, choitfin matzois b'leil psochim b'shvil tinoikas shelo yishnu. Oh, one should snatch the matzah on Leila Seder so the babies don't sleep. What does that mean? It means has many, many meanings. One meaning is choitfin the matzah is you show the matzah and the children know here's the matzah which we all know about, and then you take it away. That's all. We hide the matzah. You hide it from them to create some kind of curiosity, make something weird and different. Here's the matzah, and here I'm choitef. I take it away. I snatch it, lachtof, in order to show the children something's not right here, so they should ask the question. However, this, by the way, is the source for the afikomen. Yeah. It was okay. The source for the afikomen, the afikomen, to take away the afikomen, is that you hide the afikomen, and they say one way to get the children engaged with the Seder is they know that there's a prize, different minhagi, whatever, how you do that. But if they know that they have some kind of, trophy at the end of the Seder, that helps them stay awake. Tanya. Omar level Rabbi Akiva, the Brisa says, they said about Rabbi Akiva, Miyomav lo Omar, higia es lamud bebeis hamedrash. Rabbi Akiva never, when Rabbi Akiva was learning Torah and teaching Torah, he never said, guys, let's go home. By Rabbi Akiva, there was no 10:25 like we have. Yeah? There's no time we go home. Keep learning as much as you can, whatever happens on the outside. Yeah, you never officially finished the learning session. Chutz, except for Ma'arvei Psochim, Ve'erev Yom Kippurim. The only time he told his disciples, he told the Talmidim, go home, was in Erev Pesach and Erev Yom Kippur. Erev Pesach, B'shvil Tinokas Kadesh Lo Yishnu. And Erev Pesach, the father has to be home to help his wife make sure that the children are awake. Yeah, somehow the Tati should be home. There are different ways to explain it in the Rishonim, but the father is home and the children don't just fall asleep. Get them, I don't know, turn on loud music or something. Instead of them doing it, you do it. Yeah, you do something. Erev Yom Kippurim, Erev Yom Kippur, to feed your children. Apparently, looks like the children Erev Yom Kippur have a mitzvah to eat. Interesting. They say, you know why? Because they say that the achil of Erev Yom Kippur is like the Sudas Yom Tov of Yom Kippur. So you feed the children Erev Yom Kippur. It's another sugi. We're not learning now about Yom Kippur, but that's why. Tano Abonon. Yeah, let's just, I don't have, today I will cut, as opposed to original Rabbi Akiva, we will cut the shiur short because they have to go. Tano Abonon. A person is obligated to make his children and bnei beisoy, the wife, the children, make them happy during Yom Tov. How do you know that I'm supposed to make them happy, make them joyous, add to their joy during the regel, the Yom Tov? Shenemar, it says, "V'samachto b'chagecha, v'samachto v'simachto." Don't just be happy, but better, you should make others happy. Yeah, and it says also the samachto ata ubeisecho. You and your family should be happy. Now, b'mem samcham, how do you make them happy? What's the way to add to their joy? So we say, beyain, wine, wine, wine makes you happy. Why? Because it says, beyain yisamach levav enosh. Wine makes people happy. Mesamech lev enoshim v'odom. There are a few psukim in the Torah. The wine makes you happy. That's one reason. If you look at the Gemara in Brachos, Daf Lamed Hey Amud Beis, why wine has a special bracha. Wine is important and makes people happy. Of course, too happy is not good when you get addicted, of course, but a little bit makes you happy the right way. Rabbi Yehuda argues again. Rabbi Yehuda says, no, not everyone is happy with wine. You give wine to some women, they're not happy. It's not also tsanua for a woman to drink wine without her husband's permission. Yeah, and also children, why should they drink wine? Says Rabbi Yehuda Oimer, Anoshim baroy lahem, the noshim baroy lahen. Each one separate. Men should be happy with their thing, and women should be happy on their thing. Anoshim baroy lahem beyain. Make yourself happy, buy yourself a good bottle of wine. That's the way you make yourself happy. The noshim b'mai. How should women be kept happy? Of course, with clothes. What else? Yeah, fashion, moda. Tani Rav Yosef, beBavel bebigdei tzivoinin. In Bavel, women would be happy by buying colorful clothes. Yeah. Be'eretz Yisrael bebigdei pishtan megoyhotzin. In Bavel, yeah, what there was considered nice was bigdei. Sorry, Eretz Yisrael, clothes made out of pishtan, made out of flax of linen. Thank you. Made out of linen, megohotzin, whatever megohotzin means. Megohotzin modern means ironed. It says in Bavel the clothes were never properly ironed. Yeah. In Eretz Yisrael, they would have nice white clothes. In other words, the colorful clothes they can make up for the creases. Yeah, if it's a bit crease, it hides the creases. White, you can see any stain or any crease. So in Eretz Yisrael, they would manage to keep their clothes very nice and clean. Give them white clothes. In Bavel, give them the colorful one. You should know. Also, it says in the mitzvah of a husband has to buy his wife clothes. You know that? Don't argue with her about the clothes. You're supposed to buy her the clothes. I mean, I recommend she does with your money. Yeah, but it's one of the three mitzvahs of the men. Midoraisa, sher ksus v'oino, ksus, clothes. So it says when you buy your wife clothes, it has to be with the right season. Winter clothes for the winter, summer for the summer. It's in more in Ksubas. Yeah, I don't remember from Zain or some base or something around there. Now, Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira adds to the simcha of the men. And by the way, this is a Lochen Shulchan Aruch. A Lochen Shulchan Aruch says every Yom Tov, Pesach, Shavuos, and Sukkot, unless she's Mefurish Moichel, you have to buy her some clothing item or a piece of jewelry. The Avrechim who barely have what to eat, they would buy their wives a tachshit, a little jewelry for Yom Tov, always. Yeah, that's based on this halach. It's a Lochen Shulchan Aruch. Unless your wife mamish tells you, I really, really don't want, I have a jewelry box full of diamonds and rubies and emeralds. Other than that, or she doesn't like jewelry, doesn't like nice clothes, that's a different story. But other than that, you have to buy her whatever, sheitel, scarf, whatever she wears. Now, Tani Rabbi ben Beseiro, Bisman shebeis hamikdash kayim, the times of Beis Hamikdash, ain't simcha lebeboso. Oh, in the times of Beis Hamikdash, how were we mikayim simchas chag? By bringing a korban, not stam meat. The Shalmei Simcha were eaten in Beis Hamikdash. Preferably, if you wanted to do it lechatchila, you bring a few korbanos, and every day of Yom Tov, every other day of Sukkot or Pesach, you bring another korban Shalmei Simcha, and you eat it for 2 days, and that's a basar. The meat brings you simcha, the meat of the korbanos. Shenema, there's the vach the shlomim, you shech the shlomim, the ochal sham, you eat over there in Yerushalayim. The samach the lefnei Hashem elokecha. You should be in a state of joy, be happy in front of Hashem, not in the Beis Hamikdash. It's not where you eat the shlamim, you eat it in the old city, in Yerushalayim. The achshav nowadays, Shen Beis Hamikdash Kayim, and Simcha Lebeyayin. But I agree with the other Tanoim, now the Beis Hamikdash is not around, sadly so. Instead of Basar, today Simcha is not in Basar, but Beyayin. Shenemar, Beyayin Samach Levav Enoish. The wine makes the person happy. And that's why today we go for the wine as Simchas Yom Tov, although it does say that today also there's an need to eat meat. There's a need to eat meat and not just chicken. I know some people in Eretz Yisrael meat is more expensive, but for Yom Tov a lot of people are makpi to have meat and not just chicken, which is more common in this country, because still today, yeah, there are those who say, there's definitely an opinion I would not, and the opinion halacha is well based in halacha that meat is also simchas Yom Tov. So even let's say the average Israeli family would only have chicken throughout the year, which is cheaper in this country. I know it varies from place to place, but for Yom Tov they have special meat sales that they buy meat for Yom Tov because even today there is an aspect of simcha bebosel today, and the wife should get her clothes, and the children should get their sweets in order to stay awake. And Be'ezus Hashem will be seeing name Mashiach Tzidkein B'meir B'meinu Amen, and have the real simcha of the Shlomim in the Beis Hamikdash. Thank you very much. Atzlocha. So we just finished this, this set of 3 shiurim, the trilogy of shiurim that we had. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you very much for everybody here in Avos Shalom. Or anytime in YouTube. Thank you, and Hatzloch Rabbi. Have a very, very kosher and freilichen Pesach. Thank you. Kol tov.